This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
It's time now for something new for you. It's time now for something new for you. It's KRAE Reports, a week in review. And now let's check in with our program right here on 1480 KRAE.
Welcome to KRAE Reports, a week in review. I'm Larry Perotti, along with Nick Perotti, who's out of sick bay finally. Good news wasn't a bad test that you had for COVID again.
It's
some kind of bug that's going around.
It was a scenario where went into urgent care here in town, thought it was something just due to the fact that her girlfriend tested positive for her job as a requirement on Monday again. So we were close knit together again, whether it was on the weekend, again at that Broncos 49ers game. You know, again, we were close proximity where she tested positive for COVID. I figured it was. Go figure that. I think Wednesday time, at least went over the urgent care just so at least some sort of medicine, because I was definitely struggling throughout the week. But yeah, I came back to learn on Saturday that it was nothing. It was no strep, no COVID, no nothing. It was just good old-fashioned
Bug.
Flu, I would assume. But yeah, again, tis that time of the season, especially with the change of temperature, again, weather as well too out here. But yeah, I was very surprised not to, at least to find out it wasn't COVID, especially just with her testing positive. So, but either way, again, yeah. So, still on the mend, still on antibiotics for the next week. But it is.
That means that you're good to go once the antibodies are all.
I wouldn't say that. You are not a registered doctor, so
no. I'm just saying, it's just we get our once a year bug, and we're good to go. I want to go national, and then we'll get it down to the local side here real quick. Just a couple of notes here on the national side. First off, Liz Cheney, she's on a milk carton as far as Wyoming is concerned. Ever since the primary, basically. She hasn't been doing a lot of her voting for U.S. Congress. And again, too, she still is listed as an R, but some of the R's now in Congress are looking at her now just basically jumping ship and,
well,
kind of sympathizing
she's alluded to it again with the recent story that we had. I think we talked about last Monday here on the show that, again, if Trump is at least potential candidate coming up in 2024, hey, she's not an R anymore. She's moving over to sides or wherever she may land. Again, her intentions have been made clear. And no surprise here that she's kind of a lame duck in office. And obviously there's hurt feelings that, again, the entire, at least good majority of the state of Wyoming didn't want her back in her position of power. So you got to imagine that there's hurt feelings there by Liz Cheney. And also, too, it's, she kind of shows the true colors of, I don't really care.
Well, and this is what kind of is ticking people off here in the state of Wyoming. Technically, she's still employed by the state.
For the next couple of months, yeah.
And again, whether you're a lame duck or not, you still have to vote. You still have to represent the state of Wyoming. And again, she has been missing votes, whether it's her own choice or not. But, a key thing here, which would have been on the 22nd of September, Cheney missed one vote to a push to approve considering a bundle of law enforcement-focused legislation and drew frustration from some, including two of the most conservative Republicans in the House. The resolution passed by a single vote, although U.S. Representative Ayanna Pressley, a Democrat of Massachusetts, a member of the Squad, voted present on the resolution. The Squad is the handle used to describe a small group of younger progressive members of the House. Cheney later voted against 3 of the 4 bills in the bundle. But again, what's getting me a little upset about her is that you were voted in by this state of Wyoming. You are still drawing a $179,000 paycheck annually to represent Wyoming, and you now basically have taken your football and gone home to Virginia, basically, and you've left Wyoming high and dry. So, again, voting, she's not voting the way the state wants her to.
She's showing her true colors clearly, and again, it's something that she was, again, I will use this terminology for her for the entire time. And again, plain and simple, she was a carpetbagger where she took advantage of a situation here in the state of Wyoming. She's now showing her true colors. And again, obviously, there's hurt feelings. I get it. And again, when an entire state or a good majority of the state says, get out of here, we don't want you anymore. Yeah, I think there's probably a little hurt feelings of, all right, I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to represent you anymore because you didn't want me. So,
well, then step aside.
I'm just saying, clearly, she's showing her true colors on that situation. So for the next couple months, I guess, unfortunately for the state of Wyoming, you got to deal with it until we figure out.
Till the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then this is the deal. If you don't want to work for this community, this state, then step aside. Let somebody be appointed to finish out your term. If you're going to be, a whiny type of person, which she is, then just move on. Okay? We don't, again, you are hurting the state by not doing your job that you are being, again, you're being paid to do. And again, she's supposed to be working for the state of Wyoming, and she basically said, hey, I've cashed it in. But that being said, and, we'll get that out, then you have possibly the candidate to replace Liz Cheney, again, who drew a lot of votes on the Republican side during the primary, one Harriet Hageman. Well, although she's been endorsed and recruited by former President Donald Trump and his staff for the U.S. Congress, she has remained vague for many months about her thoughts of what happened during the January 6, 2021 U.S. Capitol riot and the legitimacy of the 2020 presidential election. Really?
Which, again, hasn't been vague. She's definitely spoken up a few times, more so on at least, did she believe it was, a fair election or was it rigged? Again, she's had her opinions that is kind of more cited on, that 2020 election was kind of a little question mark in front of her eyes. Again, that has been noted at least in the past couple of years. But I don't know if I'd agree that she's been vague on it. She's been vague on more of the January 6th situation, even though it seems like
she complained about Liz Cheney being the vice chair. That's what she's been very vocal about, right?
Again, she's been vocal about that, but also too she has been vocal that about the insurrection, or at least the lack thereof. So again, kind of questioning that as well too, as kind of more of a circus act or show. So it is definitely, at least she's been vocal on some of those hotbed issues, which again has prompted at least some folks, and not so much here in the state of Wyoming, but outside of our state borders, to kind of question her legitimacy, or at least they've been kind of at least putting up forth of, should she at least retain some of her titles or positions within the state of Wyoming?
Well, and again, this is from a Darby Hogat, a Fort Collins, Colorado attorney, in a letter to the Wyoming State Bar.
Who is also, too, let's make note again, with that individual down in Fort Collins, yes, practices down in Fort Collins, but again, it is still at least can practice law here in the state of Wyoming.
And the note is, as a licensed attorney in the state of Wyoming, I believe it is incumbent upon your agency to investigate Ms. Hageman, who appears to advocate and support the coup that former President Trump attempted on January 6, 2021. If a Wyoming attorney supports the overthrow of our democracy, how can she maintain her license to practice law? Gee, I'm wondering what political party he probably belongs to. These comments were enough to convince this attorney, again, where she has been less vocal, according to him. He filed a complaint with the Wyoming State Bar requesting the body initiate a disciplinary investigation over Mark Gifford. Counsel for the bar took less than a single business day to respond to and reject Hogat's complaint. Gifford said there was significant difference between Hageman's comments and the action, for example, of Rudy Giuliani and other attorneys, because they offered their statements before a tribunal, not in a public forum. He did, however, express concurrence with Hogat's assertion that Hageman's claims were false.
Either way, though, it's something that's going along with the political lines of, again, outside factors trying to spearhead or trying to, again, assassinate, or character kind of assassinate. Yeah. Again, as much as don't agree with everything that Harry Hageman has said, or again, when she was on the program, again, I probably would not lean to give at least my vote towards her, but it's a scenario that, again, once again, politics becomes dirty, that you have individuals like this that are trying desperately any action to, again, discredit someone, and now use to at least the Wyoming State Bar to try to remove her from at least using her law degree in the state of Wyoming, which again is more for public and water use here in the state of Wyoming, which again she has mentioned at least here on the show before. But again, kudos to the Wyoming State Bar, basically saying, hey, she hasn't violated anything at this point in time. That sorry, it's nothing. You're bringing up nothing to us.
Well, and again too, and kudos to Harriet Hageman. She issued a blistering response to the letter, which she described as threatening. As she wrote in a press release earlier this month, make no mistake, this letter is meant as a threat against me simply because I hold a different political opinion, one that is shared by a majority of Wyoming voters. And I think if you go back to the Republican primary, I think the Wyoming voters got to stand behind Harriet Hageman right now and her political views. And then back to this attorney Hoggett, who grew up in Newcastle and attended law school at the University of Wyoming. He believes Hageman's actions are tantamount to a rejection of the U.S. Constitution and part of an effort to overthrow the government. He said, at the very least, the state bar should open an investigation on Hageman and issue a private reprimand. So, again,
which, again, the state bar basically said,
now.
hey, we're not doing it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
She hasn't violated anything, so just move on. So, essentially, it's a non-story that, again, revolves Harriet Hageman, but, again, it already begins. Again, as we've seen here within the state of Wyoming, again, there are spearheaded attempts to at least stop her campaign.
To undermine her campaign.
Yeah, undermine her campaign, and, again, also to kind of potentially remove her as that Republican, at least candidate as well, too. We've seen those efforts, but now, again, outside factors, outside lawyers trying to step in to, again, delegitimize her and her practice and try to remove her from the state bar. So either way, again, kudos to the Wyoming State Bar, basically just saying, nope, not going to happen, hasn't violated anything. Let's move on.
And here's the thing, too. You said this I do believe a week ago or a couple weeks back, where you said, hey, what we need is a fresh influx of new candidates, right? Again, because a lot of these candidates, and I'm not talking about Harriet Hageman, even though she did run for the gubernatorial primary 4 years ago. My point is, though, do you really want to run for politics? We kind of gripe and moan that some of these people have been there forever and ever, whether it's city, county, state, federal. Look at the dirty politics that are being played right now.
I mean, it is something where again, outside factors, what here nor there. It's a scenario where, again, to run for office, you kind of run the risk of, again, potential outside forces trying to destroy your life, ruin your life, try to bring up some sort of bad thing. Again, there's not a perfect person out there in this world that has not done something in their past. And again, there are folks out there that are going to sniff out anything from being a teenager to, again, to your 20s, to your 30s, to whatever. Again, there's going to be someone to find and dig up dirt that's going to try and ruin your campaign, ruin your life. And again, is this a scenario against Harriet Hageman? To an extent, yes. Again, trying to get her removed from the state bar. But again, obviously, it's going to take a little bit more than
and
an
it's
individual.
one person. Notice it's not a group.
Yeah.
It's not the entire Fort Collins, Colorado, law offices that are it's one person. And it
Who
seems,
probably disagreed with Hageman and again try to go as a little vendetta and said, hey, let's see if this will work to discredit her. Yeah.
and again, that's what we're seeing, and it goes back to
Is that again, going back to your original point, again, average Joe citizen out there, again, where, again, I call for fresh new blood, which, again, I still stand by, where, again, folks here in the city of Cheyenne, Casper, Burns, Pine, if you want to run for these congressional seats, gubernatorial, again, all power to you. And obviously, again, it takes money, the almighty dollars, kind of at least the helping force to get you to some of these political offices. And again, that's just the reality. And hopefully, again, that game can change here and sometimes in the near future. But again, for average Joe citizen, it's probably a little bit scary out there where, again, you are laying a lot of your money on the line. And again, you are laying your reputation out there, and you run the risk, especially when you go higher into these political offices, that, again, you're going to have individuals like this that are going to go and say, okay, you did this in your past. Let's bring it up to this body, and let's see if we can, get you removed.
And
or
it's
do
amazing how the other side always got to dig up all this nasty dirt on you.
It happens every which way.
I know it's just ridiculous. And again, too, what's even worse these days is the social media site. Social media where somebody will, write something, and it's not really all, collaborated, or it's not all truthful.
Yeah.
The facts are not all presented. And again, everybody jumps on board. Oh, wow, And
Well, it's essentially, again, where back in the day as a kid, you play the game, telephone, where, again, you had one starting sentence, and by the time it got passed around, again, it was a completely different topic and subject and all that good stuff. It's similar to what you're seeing on social media, especially Twitter, where some of these facts come back were not even remotely true about the person, where, again, you start with something and it just gets twisted and convened, and just, it becomes, again, social media is now the new modern day version of the game of telephone. But, it's dirty. It's an interesting time, especially with social media, just how it adds fuel to the fire to a lot of this political heat that is around this country. Again, not even just here in the state of Wyoming, but, again, on the national side. It's very intriguing just to see just what this is kind of devolved into. Again, you figure social media and technology is supposed to improve our lives. If anything, it's kind of devolved in nature to, where we are in this kind of the heated sense all of a sudden.
Well, it's ironic, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it. People that pose these type of questions or problems, so to speak, nothing ever happens to them. You notice that? I mean, let's see how clean this person's records are.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, you're over here making a statement. Do you have the facts to back it up? Evidently, that person believes they have the facts to back it up. But if you're wrong,
yeah,
let's go after this person. Again, we just.
Well, and I think that's the issue as well too, where you got to find a way. Not so much. I hate the word, at least the harshness of punishment, but it is something where, again, if you're going to be accusatory or don't have the facts, or, again, if it's something that is just wildly inaccurate, as this seems to be against Harriet Hageman, that, again, there is no punishment for the said crime of coming up and, accusing someone. And I think that's kind of the worrisome thing right now, is that you can accuse whatever, could have all the facts incorrectly and this or that, and you're trying to destroy someone's life. But in the back end, nothing's going to happen to this individual or whoever individual or group entity that does this to any candidate across this land. That's kind of the interesting and scary thing about all this, is that, yes, you can accuse, but if it's found that you were wrong, oh, okay. Well, see, I'm sorry. I thought I had all the facts right.
You just said the key word there. You said two words. I'm sorry. These people should start issuing public apologies. That's what they need to do. They need to be held accountable for falsehoods.
Yeah.
And again, this person
plain and simple,
this person believes, but if they are proven wrong, they need to pony back up to the bar and say, "Hey, I screwed up."
No, it seems like a lot of them tuck their tail between their leg and just kind of go back into obscurity. And, it is what it is. So.
Before we go to the break, we'll keep it here on state politics. If you haven't heard, and before everybody gets their, the back of their hair on their neck raises here, Wyoming lawmakers are considering a bill. They're considering a bill that would increase their salaries by 53%.
Ugh.
The subcommittee on legislator compensation will consider draft legislation next week. That would I think it's this week. That would increase the per diem daily salary for state legislators by $80, bumping them from $150 to $230 per day. That's per diem.
Plain and simple. No. Do they deserve it? No. Is it something that they should at least receive a pay raise? Hell no. But again, it's
that's
up to them.
That's you speaking.
But yeah, I think that money instead of giving them a pay raise, can go to better and bigger things here in the state of Wyoming,
All right.
including at least some of our school districts that right now are hurting for some of this
All right.
money.
Well, there has not been a pay raise for the legislature since 2005. I'm just throwing when the per diem salary was
I think
raised.
a lot of those legislators live pretty comfortable lives.
Well, I'm just saying when it was raised from its current level, $125 a day. The raise wouldn't go in effect until January 2027. Currently, legislators now receive a monthly salary in the months outside of the session, ranging roughly from $300 to $900, depending on their leadership position. With all the legislative income included, the average lawmaker in Wyoming is compensated in the neighborhood of $15,000 to $20,000 a year. That is according to Representative Eric Barlow, who is a Republican out of Gillette. Now, just to further this, let me prices, pay ranges vary widely throughout the nation's state legislatures. Just throwing it for you here. New Hampshire paying $100 a year to California, which pays annually $114,000.
That's California.
$877 annually. Wyoming is one of 8 states in the West, 9 overall, to pay legislators a daily rate while in session. Wyoming's $150 rate is about the middle of the pack in this group, but the stat could be misleading. Certain states with lower daily rates like Kansas, Nevada, pay a per diem for each legislative day, including weekends of the session. The Wyoming legislature does not typically convene on the weekends. So, and Kansas also has passed pay raises in 2 of the last 5 years. So, just throwing that out there. That
no, plain and simple.
You say no.
I say no. Again, will they vote it in? Only time will tell. But it's something that, again, that money, instead of going to their own pockets, could be used for a hell of a lot better things across the state where, again, we are dealing with a lot of issues right now on the financial side, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is our school districts right now that desperately need that money. It's something that, again, that bump in per diem can go to a lot better things than their own pocketbooks that, again, for these state legislators. But that's my opinion.
That's your...
And I would hope that a lot of folks here in this state agree with that opinion that, again, it's a body of individuals that I don't think really need.
And I want to see the numbers before I issue my opinion. I want to see all numbers for this state. Nebraska, nearby Nebraska, conversely, has not issued a raise for lawmakers since 1988. So we're talking, 44 years now. Legislators there receive a flat monthly salary of $1,000. So, and again, there's more state legislators, too, than there are here in Wyoming. So just throwing that out there. All right, I want to take a break. When we come back, we'll get into some county and some South Cheyenne news. We're back after these words. You are listening to KRAE Reports, a week in review, right here at 1480 KRAE.
Message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Next time you have a craving for authentic Mexican cuisine, visit Guadalajara at 1745 Del Range Boulevard. Locally owned and operated, they serve their dishes with family tried and true recipes, with the freshest of ingredients, made to order. Start off your meal with their complimentary chips, salsa, and bean dip. And if you're feeling adventurous, enjoy your favorite margarita or cerveza. Guadalajara, where the spice is always nice.
Your locally owned and operated radio stations, KYOI FM and 1480 KRAE AM, are just that, local, serving Cheyenne and Laramie County, where your advertising dollar stays local too. It doesn't end up in Colorado, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, or even New York. We conduct business here, we shop here, and we live here. And we support our entire community 24/7, 365. Just because it has a window dressing doesn't mean it isn't a facade. A reminder from KYOI and 1480 KRAE. For over 30 years and still delivering the results you expect is Cheyenne Auto Repair and Service. Larry Prawley again for cars in downtown Cheyenne, reminding you that John and his staff are there to take care of your vehicle's woes. From an oil change and replacing windshield wipers to digging deep into fixing your heating and your air conditioning unit, or fixing your brakes and shocks. You can depend on Cheyenne Auto Repair and Service for taking care of most minor repairs. And most importantly, John is a TechNet professional, which says he is one of the best nationally when it comes to getting your car or truck back on the road as soon as possible. Check it out online, technetprofessional.com. Don't wait till the last minute. Have your vehicle serviced by one of the best in Cheyenne. Cheyenne Auto Repair and Service at 604 West Lincoln Way. Call for an appointment at 307-632-0498. Open Monday through Friday. Your local hometown bank, First Year Bank, invites you to come celebrate the first anniversary of their downtown branch at 18th and KRAE. And during the anniversary celebration, come to either branch at 1508 Stillwater Avenue or downtown and enjoy some coffee and cookies. First Year Bank is still offering the best CD rates around on a wide variety of CD products. So talk with Caitlin, Amy, and Lavonna today. And for all your commercial lending needs, let Tim, Tad, Stacy, and Spencer hook you up to suit your business needs. First Year Bank, 1508 Stillwater Avenue, and now celebrating their second branch's one-year anniversary at 18th and KRAE. We want to be your bank. Member FDIC.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Otherwise, for today, partly to mostly cloudy with a chance for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Expect the daytime high near 66. For tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance for showers and evening thunder. Our low down to 41. Tomorrow, Tuesday, mostly sunny. Look for a daytime high near 62 with a slight chance of showers during the afternoon. And for Tuesday night, mostly clear with our low down to 39 degrees.
We welcome you back to KRAE Reports, a week in review. Want to thank the Cowboy State Daily for our first couple of stories that came out of the box for us. Matter of fact, another story from our friends at the Cowboy State Daily. And again, if you want to get the news accurate and up to date, then you definitely want to get a subscription to the Cowboy State Daily. Again, check them out. Like them on Facebook. Matter of fact, last week we had the Republican candidate for Laramie County Sheriff, Brian Kozak, in. I do believe we will have the independent candidate, Jeff Barnes, and the Democrat, Jess Fresquez.
Well, here, because again, I'm the one that does all the stuff, at least booking around here. But yes, we will have Jeff Barnes in coming up on the 17th. He will come in, talk about his position, and also we'll probably talk about the at least article that we're about to get into. Also, too, regarding the Democratic, at least candidate, again, Jess Fresquez did reach out to him. He respectively declined, so unfortunately, we will not have him into the studio. Instead, he kind of pushed his website to go give more information. But again, it was nothing against us. It was just something that he just didn't want to come on air, so understandable. So at least we will have 2 out of the 3 Laramie County sheriffs coming in.
Well, it's interesting because
candidates, I should say.
That I posed that question last week to the former chief of police, Brian Kozak. I said, hey, have you reached out to those that ran against you in the primary for support? And he said that I think he was planning to. But the challenger that finished second on the Republican side, Captain Don Hollingshead of the Laramie County Sheriff's Department, has decided to endorse the independent candidate for Laramie County Sheriff, which would be Jeff Barnes. Interesting to note, and I remember saying this in our conversation last week with Brian, was, again, he's still a very popular individual here in the Cheyenne area. In the county, that's where he needs to put boots on the ground to convince those voters that, hey, I did this in Cheyenne, now I want to do this for Laramie County. Again, you look at the candidates that were running on for the county sheriff position, they fared well within the county, but did not win here in the Cheyenne area. So, through wards 1, 2, and 3.
Obviously, again, we're a good amount of voters coming at least for this Laramie County Sheriff position. Again, good majority of that percentage is going to be here in the Cap City, again, just due to the population base here. But
absolutely,
so again, that might be the beneficial thing for one Brian Kozak, is that, again, you were the former chief of police here in the city of Cheyenne. That, again, a lot of folks saw what you did and probably agreed with it, and we'll back you like that. We're, again, for the county, and again, not to speak for any candidate, at least regarding the Laramie County Sheriff, but it's something that my focus is not going to be on the county. I'm going to instead go after the Cheyenne voters because, hey, they outweigh the numbers that are in Burns or Carpenter or Pine Bluffs. Now, regarding this endorsement by Hollingshead, again, he endorsed Jeff Barnes. This is a couple weeks ago. So, again, this is something before we had at least Brian Kozak in that, again, he's known that Hollingshead, and again, that was a heated battle between those two in the primary that, again, it came, at least in my opinion, it came down to a flip of a coin where, again, either or could be represented on the R side for this Laramie County Sheriff position. But this is huge, though, that at least Hollingshead, who we kind of figured would lean to backing Brian Kozak, that, again, there would have been some mutual respect there for two individuals that have worked in law enforcement here in the city of Cheyenne, again, representing, again, whether it was the police department or going to the jail system here in Cheyenne. But a very surprising move by Hollingshead saying, hey, basically his endorsement was, we can't have Brian Kozak in. This is the guy to go to of Jeff Barnes, the independent right now. And that was, again, kind of, and this is something we spoke last Monday with Brian about, where how do you convince those Don Hollingshead voters to come on over to your side instead of going for Barnes, going for Fresquez, whoever, again, the other two candidates that are vying for this position? You kind of wonder if those voters now, again, will follow Hollingshead to back now Barnes, and that now this is going to be a lot closer general election than some folks thought.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because in my almost 37 years now, I've only seen either a Democrat or a Republican. And again, and we said this last week too, and you and myself have mentioned this numerous times, Nick, that this should be a nonpartisan race.
Yeah.
But it's either been a Democrat in my time here, Rudy Restivo and Sheriff DeFoy, if I remember, or it's either been Danny Glick or Pat Barrett. Those are the sheriffs that I recall in my time here, Democrat or Republican. So now, if that be the case with Don Hollingshead throwing his support to Jeff Barnes, and again, that's up to his electorate, those that voted for Don Hollingshead to jump on board with Jeff Barnes, does that make the race a little tighter?
Yeah. I think so.
Could be.
Again, you look at the primary numbers between Hollingshead and with Brian Kozak. That again, it was pretty darn close. At this now, with again the endorsement by Hollingshead to Jeff Barnes, it now makes it an intriguing general election. That again, you kind of handed the ribbon already to one Brian Kozak, just due to the nature that again he's got the R in front of his name. That again, a lot of folks here in this county and including City of Cheyenne kind of just gotta go that side. But now again with this endorsement, again a lot of folks do respect Don Hollingshead, and again he garnered a lot of votes in that primary. That now you kind of shift your attention, that is this now a two-horse race? That is this now a flip of the coin between Kozak and Barnes, that either or could come away with a victory on this one? And again, once we get Jeff in studio and again get his position, his thoughts on it, again there's no surprise that folks would go for the independent side, where I certainly wouldn't be opposed to it. Again, you give me a bad look on it, but again, how many times have we told that?
No, I give you a questionable look.
Have I told you that? Again, people are kind of tired of playing these little games of I got to pick one side or the other. Now you have a third option here, a third popular option, especially with this race now, again, with Hollingshead now endorsing him. And again, those voters backing him now kind of turn their eyeballs and look at that, at least side of the equation. Here we go. And now you don't have to pick one side or the other. You don't have to pick the lesser of two evils. Now you got a third option. This makes now this Laramie County Sheriff, at least race, especially that general election, a lot more intrigue.
Yeah, I'm just running down some of the numbers here, looking at here locally, again on votes, and you see here on the sheriff's side, I'm right now in. Let's see, this is Ward 1 numbers that I'm looking at right now, where you're seeing Brian Kozak defeating Don Hollingshead. Again, I'm just punching them up here quick as, not to stall for time, but, I'm just looking at a certain precinct here in Laramie County. Let's see. This is just for example, this is precinct 1, no, Ward 1, precinct 5. For example, Brian Kozak won here on the local side, 355. Hollings had 302, and Reed had Reed had 203. So again,
and that's also to another swath of voters that, again, in that primary, interesting to see which way they kind of go. And again, that is the Reed voters that, again, will they back Kozak? Will they now go for Barnes? Will they jump over to the D side to give the love to Fresquez? Again, it's now, again, where a lot of folks were kind of, again, handing that trophy in that position are automatic to Brian Kozak just due to the nature of the primary numbers. Now you kind of step and pause with a couple of these endorsements and go, is it really Kozak's to win, or is he now kind of behind in the polls with all this behind him?
I don't know. And again, here's this would be Ward 2, Precinct 2. Kozak had 651. Hollingshead had 551.
They're close.
Reed had 424.
Close. So, again, a lot of those voters, if you take, again, that pure 100%, and again, it's the true reality is that pure 100% that voted for Hollingshead in the primary are all going to shift over to Barnes. But, again, in a perfect reality, or at least what Don would probably want, is them to shift over and vote for Jeff. It's something that it still makes it a very close run, but now again, you do kind of muddy the waters with now 3 candidates, and you wonder if that could hurt at least that independent route, where again you are splitting, at least potentially splitting votes now
right.
to DNR sides. Too.
Well, and here's Ward 3, where it was Kozak defeating in this is Precinct 4. Kozak 234, Hollingshead 227, and Reed 145. I want to get down into some county precincts because that'll become now. I'm now into the county finally.
But plain and simple though, if you're Brian at this point in time, again you go heavy after Cheyenne residents to come vote for you. The county is again, and this is just me saying if I was just kind of that political manager for one Brian Kozak. Again, I focus heavy on the city of Cheyenne. That again he garnered a lot of votes from. County wise, again. Not so much think of them secondary, but again, you're probably not offering a heavy amount of, at least you're not going out there and showing a whole lot of love and focus on compared to, again, what is the cap?
Well, and I looked at one precinct, for example, here in the county. Let me go to this one. This is this would be 4, County 4, and the 4th precinct. And for example, there's not the votes, so to speak. Brian Kozak had 156, Hollingshead 132, Reed had 116. That's probably one of your bigger stops because a lot of these little ones I'm looking at here. Let me go here. Here we go. There's another one here that's a pretty big precinct. Kozak had 350, Hollingshead had 259, Reed had 237. So in the county, not too bad of a showing thus far by Kozak. Actually, to me, and I might be wrong on this, Nick, but it seems like he did better in the county. As far as again, here's this is Precinct 9 for the 4th Ward. Brian Kozak 238, Hollingshead 206, Reed 172. So far, I have not seen him losing in certain areas. I mean, again, I could scroll down and we could be here.
Yeah, let's not focus on the numbers heavily because again, this is an election that again folks can see upon
let me ask
months
you this.
ago. But it's something that again with these endorsements though, is this enough to topple again Brian Kozak out of that would be position where again it looks like he's garnered a lot of votes, but again, is it something that those Reed voters, those Hollingshead voters are now going to spearhead and go towards one Jeff Barnes on the independent side to kind of push him over the edge? Again, you mentioned some good numbers there for both Hollingshead and Reed. Again, you add both of those together, well, they now take over that position of one Brian Kozak just by himself if those two splits head over to just one entity, that is Jeff Barnes. So again, this is now, again, with these endorsements and the potential of that third-party option that folks might be intrigued upon, who, again, may be opposed to one Brian Kozak, you now have an option to vote for this now makes this general election for the Laramie County Sheriff very, very
Lem-
intriguing. That again, it could be a lot closer than a lot of folks think.
Let me throw you out another one. This is from 5, Precinct 2, where Brian Kozak had 398 votes. Reed had 370, and Hollingshead had 352. So everything was pretty tight, throughout the course of the Republican election, the primary. I guess my question I'm going to throw to you, besides the sheriff's race, and again, let's look at what we got. We've got U.S. Congress. We got the governor's race, Secretary of State, Treasurer, you go right down the list. Right now, even with the big 5, including Congress, pretty unattractive right now as far as competition. Does that keep voters away from? I mean, we had a big turnout for the primary. Is the voting going to be actually lower for the general election in an off year?
I would say so. I think the general election, and a lot of folks kind of alluded to, where the primary was that general election again, with Hageman winning, with maybe again Kozak getting passed on that R side. Again, we saw with Chuck KRAE moving on as Secretary of State. Again, Governor Gordon moving on. Again, a lot of opposition in those general elections are kind of, especially on the governor's side. Again, Gordon should win that by a clear landslide. Hageman should win on a clear landslide as well too. Again, Secretary of State, that's getting a little intriguing, but I would assume Chuck KRAE should win pretty handily in that one. Again, the only election right now, especially for Cheyenne residents or again Laramie County residents, is this sheriff's run that might get him to turn out. But I think right now I think the primary was so heated, so hotly contested that, the general election, I think a lot of folks are going to say, yep, I already won. Liz Cheney's out.
Well,
Governor Gordon's moving on. I don't need to vote again.
Here's the deal. In that sentiment right there, what you're saying, and again, where I'm throwing this out, where the general election could be less attractive than the primary, could that hurt a Kozak? Because again, too, again, the city, again, still respects what he did. Does that keep some of the city voters, kind of iffy if they want to go out and vote? Because, like you said, should Governor Gordon retain his governorship?
He should. Yeah.
Should Chuck KRAE win, even if you're going to throw 18 guys as write-ins against him?
Yeah.
Yeah. City council pretty much looks
probably be chalk. Yeah.
It looks like it's pretty much going to be the same. I don't think there's going to be much change in the city council. So and then you go to the county commissioners. No competition on the D side, so those that won there, it looks like that moved on to the Republican, moved on to the final 4, as they say, or final 3, should be retained. Let's see. Let's talk again. I'm just going through the big races.
Again,
your sheriff race is the only race.
Your big race is where the primaries plain and simple. And again, a lot of those candidates, when they came on show, again, expressed that this is it. This is the election right here. And again, general is just pretty much of, hey, we're pretty much moving on, or at least you have that confidence that you're going to move on and you're pretty much in that elected position. Absolutely. Again, in the sheriff's race, this is the most intriguing race right now in Cheyenne, in Laramie County, without a doubt. And again, if there are low voter turnout, does that hurt a Brian Kozak? Does that help a Jeff Barnes? Does it help Brian? And again, who knows right now? Where again, the numbers that you're reading off, especially in the county, if those folks again who went for Reed, who went for Hollingshead, if again you get those 100% voters back again for the general, that shift over to a Barnes, that kind of shifts him where, again, you might have him kind of upset a Brian Kozak if those entities that, again, are so anti-Brian Kozak move over and convene as one to on the independent side. This could be an interesting, I would say an upset right now because, again, Brian's kind of the big front runner, especially with those primary numbers, that it would be a shock. I would think that if Jeff Barnes can kind of pull off that quote-unquote upset.
Well, I think, too, and again, with Laramie County, obviously the 3 candidates, and, one of them I see is, trailing well behind.
Yeah.
the two front runners, as far as I'm concerned, I would be putting boots to the ground, definitely every spec of the county, but also too, as you get into the county, you got to remind wards 1, 2, and 3 get out and vote.
Yeah.
And again too,
And I think that's the tough thing right now is, again, it is an off year. And like I said, those primaries were pretty much
that was the election.
That was it. Will there be a significant voter drop off, or at least numbers than we saw in the primaries at the general? I would think so. I think it will be significant. That, again, the percentage wise is going to be high. I would say you're going to probably have about a good 20% voter drop off, because again, folks,
if we get 40% turnout for statewide, I think we'll be lucky.
Yeah.
I really believe if we get a 40% voter turnout here in Laramie County, and again, in my years that I've been here, again, you go back to the presidential election of 2020. Great turnout. Great turnout. We had a great turnout for the primary of 2022. But we're actually going to see probably a drop-off in the general election coming up here in November. I would hope not. I would encourage our listeners, our viewers, to get out and vote, because, again, it's still one man, one vote, one person, one vote. Get out there and do your constitutional right. However, the attractiveness when you get your ballot, whether you're doing it right now absentee or you're going early voting, it's pretty unattractive here in this part of the world, in Cheyenne.
Outside of the sheriff's race, but everything else is pretty much should go chalk as it is.
No, to go according to Hoyle.
Yeah. So, but again, with the lower voter turnout as we're predicting right now, again, is that something that kind of steps up and helps some of those potential, at least non-chalk opponents?
Yeah.
It helps them out. Where, again, at least on that D side,
lower is good right now for those that are trailing.
Yeah.
Anytime that you are trailing, you don't want that big voter turnout, because, again, the numbers that Harriet Hageman posted, and again, I know there was some crossovers and what have you, but the person that she's running against, who ran 2 years ago, was a no-show as well. So, Harriet Hageman, as well as, the sheriff's race and everybody else, needs to get those voters out, because the more voters, the better your chances of winning. The least amount of voters will help those dark horse candidates.
Here I stand, again, October 3rd as of right now.
We're
so
again,
a month away from the general election. It's a scenario where I would be comfortable to predict that, again, voter turnout will be down. And I think it will be a significant number across the state, just not here in Laramie County, but across the state of Wyoming. I think you will see a significant voter drop-off compared to the primaries. I think that, again, what we think is chalk, again, Hageman, Gordon, Chuck Gray, I think those individuals will move on in the general, but I think that these races become a little bit closer than anticipated as of right now, just due to that lower number drop-off, that, again, instead of a 20-point lead, instead it's going to drop down to about a 15-point or whatever for governor race or something like this. I think that's going to be the nature of the beast. And then, at least looking at this Laramie County Sheriff runoff right now, it wouldn't be surprising to see that Jeff Barnes finds a way with these endorsements to kind of leapfrog over Brian Kozak, to find a way to get some of those potential, again, Reed voters, get those Hollingshead voters, and whoever else to get on board with him. That this could cause, I don't want to say chaos, but it's going to cause a little, it's going to raise some eyebrows, saying, what happened here?
Neither three of the candidates, including Jeff Frasquez, and that might be even better for him as well, too.
That's true.
But neither three of these candidates should take anything for granted. Because, you look at Cheyenne is going to be the bulk of the votes. That's your first and foremost thing that you need to remember. Cheyenne is the bulk of your votes, and you got to convince Cheyenne voters to go to the polls. You got to convince Laramie County voters to go to the polls as well, too. If there's going to be a drop-off, so be it. But, again, I feel, and again, I don't want to tell anybody not to do it, but like I said, when we did it in August, that was our general election. People are going, you know what? I don't really care. That's fine. But again, too, those candidates that are dark horses that are not, not expected to win, will have better showings. If not, may sneak up and bite you.
Well, and again, the thing that also worries about the lower voter turnout, which again could be a reality, and hopefully it's not. Hopefully, again, those numbers from the primary kind of stay true across the state of Wyoming. But also, too, I look towards on the local side, local government for city council, where again we have some big races for all three of our wards right now. That again, you got incumbents in seat right now, and again, potential would be at least candidates trying to dethrone those individuals.
All of the incumbents won in their particular wards too in the primary.
Yeah, so it's something that again, hopefully if folks do the research and realize that again we have city council members at stake, or again representatives of every single ward in town that are at stake right now, that again, if you're happy with things stick with what's in, or if not, again, we have alternatives.
But they all won by wide margins as well too. Like I said, that primary was their general election.
That namesake, and I get it.
All right, let's take one last break, and when we come back, we're going to wrap things up. South Cheyenne residents voicing annexation concerns. We'll be right back after this.
Win a new Cadillac XT4 luxury all-wheel drive from Holy Apostles Orthodox Christian Church in this year's Cadillac Chance raffle. Or apply the value of this 3-year prepaid lease to purchase or lease of any new vehicle at any of the 3 Holiday Motors dealerships in Cheyenne, or choose $15,000 cash. Tickets on sale now, but hurry, only 1,500 tickets will be sold at $100 each, or get 3 tickets for only $200. So get your tickets now. When they are gone, they are gone. You may purchase your tickets at Holy Apostles Orthodox Christian Church, Holiday Motors GM, St. Joseph's Food Pantry, or at CadillacChance.com. The drawing is Saturday, November 19th at Holiday Motors GM. All proceeds benefit Holy Apostles Orthodox Christian Church of Cheyenne, Land and Building Development Fund, and St. Joseph's Food Pantry. Win a new Cadillac XT4 luxury all-wheel drive from Holy Apostles Orthodox Christian Church in this year's Cadillac Chance raffle. Tickets available now at Holy Apostles Orthodox Christian Church, Holiday Motors GM, St. Joseph's Food Pantry, or at CadillacChance.com.
When you are dealing with the coin shop to buy, sell, or trade your gold, silver, or other precious metals, you will be met with honesty, fairness, knowledge, and exceptional customer service. The coin shop has been serving Cheyenne since 1982 and is a respected member of our community. Call David today at 778-7196 to meet privately, or visit during regular business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 p.m. The Coin Shop, a dealer you can trust. 510 West 16th Street. Wisdom, expertise, compassion, qualities that are the foundation of Cheyenne Urological, with their experienced doctors and their highly trained staff providing top quality treatment for prostate cancer, urinary tract infections, kidney stones, impotence, and incontinence. You can trust Cheyenne Urological to give you the highest quality urinary care. Now offering the latest in robotic surgery, call Cheyenne Urological at 635-4131. At 635-4131.
MHP is a certified public accounting and consulting firm located in Bow, Cheyenne, and Fort Collins, offering accounting, tax, and consulting services to businesses, not-for-profit, government, and individual clients. MHP takes pride in their commitment to providing close, personal attention to their clients. They also continue to invest time and resources in continuing education, state-of-the-art computer technology, and valuing their relationships with you. MHP is a proud supporter of local and UW athletics. MHP, 314 West 18th Street, or call 634-2151.
For almost 60 years, 1480 KRAE has been Cheyenne's home for good times and great oldies. Add to that live play-by-play sports featuring high school football and basketball, along with LCCC men's and women's basketball. Now combo that with KYOY FM, and you have Cheyenne and the area's only locally owned AM and FM radio stations. But we don't stop there. We also have 2 FM translators which serve the area with programming from both KRAE and KYOY. And that equals a lot of bang for your advertising dollar. Radio yesterday and now today, along with our websites, web streams, and digital ventures, makes us your one-stop shop. For more information, please call Larry Proetti at 307-637-0301.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Otherwise, for today, partly to mostly cloudy with a chance for showers and thunderstorms this afternoon. Expect the daytime high near 66. For tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance for showers and evening thunder. Our low down to 41. Tomorrow, Tuesday, mostly sunny. Look for a daytime high near 62 with a slight chance of showers during the afternoon. And for Tuesday night, mostly clear with our low down to 39 degrees.
In our closing moments of our program today, and again, we will be back at it again coming up on Monday of next week. We also have the Pro Show tomorrow.
Actually, the 17th.
Oh, that's right, Columbus Day next Monday. All right. Well, good. Paisano Day, finally. So we will have our next show come up 17th, but we will have the Pro Show tomorrow from 11 till, we'll say
11 to 1.
11 to 1. We do want to pass along this last bit of information. And again, this is from the Wyoming Tribune Eagle, which
is something, this information we've known about again as we've had.
Yeah,
Mayor
am I shocked? Let me show you.
And again, we've had Mayor Collins on that has alluded to annexation of some of the county lands around Cheyenne as they're looking to again expand the city and offer again the at least infrastructure, the services that. Again, this has been on the books for a while, but now the reality is now starting to set in that that the city is looking to, again, more so kind of annex a lot of the south side of Cheyenne, out of the county into Cheyenne, which some of the south side citizens are right now who live in the county are saying, we don't want any part of this. We have our own services. We're happy. We don't want to be a part of the city where right now they're equating higher taxes and again it's just higher cost of living that they don't want a part of.
Well, and this is nothing new. We've been annexing pockets into the city for years and years, all the time that I've been here. You have a mayor in there who has voted always to annex.
Yeah.
So, you know, what's different about Patrick Collins now wanting to annex more properties? Again, there's a reason why people live in the county. You know, they like, you know, let's say, for example, they like to raise horses, raise cows.
Yeah, the benefit of livestock, the benefit of, again, services that are offered, again, that are not city-owned, that, again, it's county reliance. It's, again, cheaper cost of living as well, too, lower taxes compared to living in the city.
Well, it used to be more living in the taxes.
But of recent years, it's gone down, and it's something of sustainability away from the city of Cheyenne, and also, again, it's for some folks that, again, you can see online say, hey, we just don't want to be a part of anything government-wise.
And you know what? I'm going to tell those folks, you got a great argument, but guess what? If the city annexes you, which they're going to do, you can't fight it. See, and here's the deal. If you live out in the south side, you're out in the county pocket out there, you got county services. So, for example, the sheriff will come on out if you have a disturbance or problem. Laramie County Fire Department out there in that part of the world. If you go to city services, which includes, you know, city sewer and all that other stuff.
Trash.
Yeah, that's all, you know, part of it. But my point is, though, when you have a disturbance out there, you're expecting Cheyenne Police.
Yeah.
And you're expecting Cheyenne Fire Department to come and take care of these things. The reason for the annexation is with Cheyenne being a municipality, they get money. It's all about the Benjamins here. Think about it.
Yeah.
The more people you have in your municipality, state and federal dollars come in. But those of you that live out in the county that you moved out there for a reason, you're kind of under I don't want to say a no protection zone. The Laramie County Commission.
Technically, they are under kind of a no protection zone where the rule is, especially regarding here in the city of Cheyenne, that if 75% of a land, at least county land, is surrounded by city-owned or city property, that pretty much there is no option, there is no appeal. It's going to be annexed or not. So it's pretty much of, it kind of deals with fire, police, again, those public services where, again, if you're surrounded by those services, we need to operate those just to cover that rest of that land or get across to the other side. So it's something that, again, for those folks in the county that are already surrounded by city property, sorry, you don't have it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. You don't really have appeal that, again, due to a city ordinance, it's gonna happen.
I'm not sure because I haven't really kept up on this particular pocket. When you go down College, okay, as you're going on College off Del Range to Pershing, if you go on, and again, I got to get my directions. So if you're going south on College, Those to the west are city. Those to the east are county. You got a 4-lane road that basically says one city, one county.
Yeah.
And but again, too, anytime that the city wants to incorporate you into the process, they can.
Yeah, there's no, like I said,
And you got a mayor that has voted always to annex.
Yeah, so it's pretty much prepare for the annexation, and hopefully the city will be, as stupid as this may sound, but again, hopefully they will alleviate some of the taxes, or again, find some way to help these folks out that, again, would rather live in the county, don't want to be part of the city for whatever reason. And a lot of it seems to be for the financial reasoning. But again, hopefully it's something that these citizens get their voices heard of. If we're going to be part of the city, well, help us out in a way to continue our county living to an extent, whether it is livestock, whether it is, again, lower taxes. I don't know. There's got to be a way to grandfather in some of these folks. And we're not talking just one singular pocket right now. Again, we're talking about 65 pockets that are at stake here in the city of Cheyenne that are looking to be annexed. So it's going to be very intriguing to see how the city handles this if we are moving forward with it. At least information from the Wyoming Tribune-Eagle of this article regarding the annexation also alludes that on October 10th, so next Monday, City Council will have a meeting that, again, folks will be attending to at least voice their concerns, and
there will be a lot of people there.
But again, it's the situation that if it's 75% of your land is surrounded by city property, sorry, you don't have an appeal process. It's going to happen whether you like it or not.
And again, I'm not sure of this. And I have to go back and look at all of the notes that I've had over the years. But I'm not sure if the city annexes your property and you got 2 acres, whatever, and you got equine on there, and you got livestock and chickens and what have you. I don't know if you are required to get rid of them. Do you have to have a certain time frame?
Not.
No, I'm not sure how it goes.
This is going to be, like I said, this is going to be interesting to see. And we haven't had annexation in this town for, quite a while. It seems like, again, you've had pockets that have been reintroduced, but again, it's been kind of empty land, part of the county that has been introduced, but now, again, dealing with actual citizens.
We've been growing within the city limits.
Yeah, but again, now to adopt those residents that have been established in the county that are used to that, now this kind of makes it more intriguing that hopefully the city council and Mayor Collins, if we're going to annex these people into what is city life now, hopefully you'll listen or there's got to be a grandfather process for these citizens that, yes, we're taking your land to an extent as much as...
No, we're incorporating your land.
Pretty much taking your land. It kind of feels like that. And I get those county residents that kind of feel like that. But it's something you got to find a way to grandfather them, whether it is, again, tax purposes, whether it is finding a way to, again, if it's livestock issues, that, again, they're allowed to have that livestock on their property. There's got to be, again, hopefully, voice of reasoning from the city council that, again, if we're bringing these people in, that they will at least be kind of friendly or nice to them, saying, hey, welcome you to the city of Cheyenne.
It's interesting that most of this annexation, if I'm looking at it, is more south this time.
Yeah.
Trying to bring them more into the city, whereas...
You figure a lot of those pockets that are around...
You stop the pockets north. And again, too, look at the growth east of Cheyenne, especially on Highway 30.
Yeah, a lot of the pockets you would assume around Orchard Valley, that south side, again, going past South High, again, around that Maverick station down there. Again, as you go south.
Going further down towards Terry Ranch Road.
I would assume that's what we're talking about. A lot of those pockets is around that, at least that turnaround, or at least probably the other side of College Drive as you make that route over. So, especially as we're seeing around LCCC, again, you're seeing businesses, you're seeing homes right now where, again, that was just empty field. That was county on the other side of College. That as the city expands, it seems like, we're trying to incorporate more, and that's what I would assume is that we're getting more of that Orchard Valley area, at least a part of Cheyenne.
And again, understand it, as I say it again, it's all about the money.
Oh, yeah.
It's the federal money and
taxes,
the state money.
Taxes,
but that too, but when you are the bigger the municipality, the more bucks you get.
Yeah.
And again, we still may be 100,000 people, Laramie County.
Yeah.
Cheyenne is 60,000 plus now. You bring in those pockets That makes Cheyenne either 61,000, 62,000 for every person you bring into the bring into the city.
Yeah.
That's more dollars to Cheyenne.
It's a move that makes sense for city government, for Mayor Collins to again get in those monies, add to the population total, which again, does equate to more revenue, which again hopefully does get spilled into again the rest of the city for infrastructure projects, or again adding businesses, or again improving this or that here in the city of Cheyenne. Again, that's what you're hopeful for. But again, I see the counter side to, again, those citizens in the county that don't want any part of it, saying, oh, again, it's kind of government forcefulness of, again, kind of reaching its big arm out and saying, no, you have no choice, join us now. Again, it's kind of comply or not. So I get that kind of aspect as well, too, that, again, it seems a little scary that the government can kind of, at least local government, again, let's talk about it, city government that can just say, yeah, your land is no longer county, it's city. Deal with it.
Well, and again, too, you can go the representation process with an attorney. You can go through your Laramie County commissioner, to fight the battle for you. But you know what? The battles that I've seen through the years, city wins more than the county does. So, and again, too, and if you are wanting to live that country life, so to speak, don't want to live the city life, because again, people ought to live outside of the city.
Yeah.
They want that, that land and, the freedom. And to have it snatched away from you because you have to be part, because
it's a little scary.
Well, you're on some type of plane. And I'm talking about, you're on a city plane for city services, whatever. You could fight until you turn blue in the face. City's always going to, well, I should say always. City's going to win the majority of the time on and again, too, you got the city council, and you got a couple of members of that city council, along with the mayor, that are very pro-annexation. So if you're looking for changing the city council's mind on voting this in, forget about it. Not going to happen.
What you need to do is convince voters to get those representatives that are in for it, again, to get them out. So again, that's
the career ones. Forget about it.
So we shall see again how this develops. Where again, it seems like city's going to move forward with the annexation. That again, anticipate that again, we're going to see more residents a part of the city of Cheyenne in the near future. But again, not October 10th. At least city council media can encourage folks to go out there, go voice their opinion on that, which again, it seems like a lot of folks are going to be a part of that.
Once again, the city council always has,
and
government always has your hands, they always have their hands in your pocket.
Oh yeah. Again, that's kind of the nature of the beast at this point in time, and it sucks. It certainly does, especially in a scenario like this. Be interesting also too to see what county commissioner again Troy Thompson has to say, or if does anything regarding this. Again, where there's a lot of upset citizens in the county that he kind of has to represent, and right now it seems like he's been on a milk carton right now, and see if he kind of steps up in that meeting, or if he shows up at all to kind of at least be a voice of reason.
When I've been to city council meetings when annexation was involved, the county really didn't speak up much. I'm talking about the commissioners at that, back in the day.
Yeah.
So it is the city council's decision. You, as a South Cheyenne resident who doesn't want their property to be annexed, or that group of people that, again, you're going to have an entire neighborhood that's going to show up at the city council meeting, present their case. If you can convince 6 city council members not to annex you, then you've done your job. Don't depend on the county to help you.
No.
You got to do it yourself. But I'm going to tell you right now, that city council that we currently have in place, aside from a couple members that I know, annexation is going to be happening sooner than you think.
And same with the city
council.
Same with the city council, and again, Mayor Collins, again, to annex these people into the city limits. Well, guess what? They are city voters as well too, and again, that does equate to the polls as well. Where again, hey, people aren't going to forget a scenario like that, and again, we'll vote you out. So
yeah, but if South Cheyenne comes into the mold, they become Ward 1 voters. So Ward 2 is protected. Ward 3 is protected. Again, you can't get everybody out of office just because you annex this pocket in, again,
You could convince people, though. And
you
again,
could convince them, but
there's
again,
something
people
that,
forget. People forget within a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
So it like I said.
But again, that
this
general
goes before the
general
city.
election is coming up very soon. So
You go before the city council, and this gets annexed. Matter of fact, like I said, I feel bad for those in South Cheyenne. You can go there and talk until you're blue in the face. Not going to happen.
yeah, it has a feeling that it's gonna go on deaf ears to an extent, but hopefully the city council will listen to those citizens, figure out what their needs and wants are, and if they are gonna move forward with this, again, find a way to grandfather in some way, shape, or form, whether it is taxes, whether it is livestock, whether it's this or that. You gotta find a way to again appease to these folks, because again, you're I wouldn't say overstepping or reaching, because again, the city can do it, but again, it has that feel that again, you're kind of using a very forceful power to basically say, hey, folks, you don't have a choice. You're now city residents. Deal with it. So again, hopefully this city government, the city council, again, including Mayor Collins, will find a way to at least appease to these citizens that, again, don't want to be a part of the city, but you find a way to integrate them and again, make sure that their quality of life stays the same.
I wish our 5 elected county commissioners, who all have an R by their name, I wish that they all would stand up and fight for the county residents.
Yeah.
Don't just talk about it. Actually do something about it. Fight.
Yeah.
Because that's why people want to live in Laramie County, not Cheyenne. They want to live in Laramie County. So, pony up to the bar and stick up for these people because they voted you in. And if you can't do it, then why are you even there? Why are you representing Laramie County?
Granted, also, too, this is the same city that, again, when we had that infamous roundabout just up the road from us, again, those houses that were involved with it, hey, let's buy out and we're demolishing your houses because we have
we weren't buying out. Eminent domain. They were taking the property.
So, again, either way, though, again, it's still a body of government from a city that has already proven that, hey, it doesn't care about your property. We're going to take it no matter what and do it with what we want. So, again, we've seen this in the past. That, again, I wouldn't say abuse. Again, they have the right to do it, but it's an abuse of the system.
Again, they're a member of the city council that I recall and current mayor in favor of eminent domain.
Yeah.
Where we have junk places around the city of Cheyenne that don't get touched. But for progress, which was okay at that time to make this roundabout.
An idiotic roundabout, yeah.
Well, and again, I know when I say eminent domain, it's not like they just grab it. They give you supposedly fair market value, which is not the dollars and cents that you probably could get by selling the property. So my point is, like I said, there's a lot of dirty pool.
Oh yeah,
and I would hope South Cheyenne shows up to the city council. But I'm just telling you right now, present your case, be as specific as you can. If you got representation, bring the representation. Laramie County Commissioners, if you feel South Cheyenne deserves to be county only, then you need to pony up to the bar as well, too.
Yeah, plain and simple.
Yeah, earn your paycheck for a change.
Yeah. Again, regarding, at least, again, this is kind of important PSA as well, too, regarding the general election, because, again, city council members are at stake right now. Again, the election is upcoming for them as well, too. So, again, as we talk eminent domain, we talk annexation. Again, remember that, again, there are folks that are kind of the career politicians on that board, at least on part of that city government. If you're unhappy with them, vote out. There are options for other representation for wards 1, 2, and 3. All 3 wards are up for grabs this coming at least November. So again, just be aware of that. Again, that there are those career politicians on that board. That again,
and they still continue to find a way to weasel themselves back in.
There is options out there for all 3 wards.
I don't think so. All right, let's wrap things up again. The pro show tomorrow. We'll get to talk sports, get to turn our hats around and talk a little sports.
As of right now, guest-wise, we'll start out of the box with Pine Bluffs Hornets head coach Will Gray. They're unbeaten in Class 1A 9-man. They're looking to run the table. Hopefully they will, especially with our final contest at the end of the year as they'll take on Southeast. Looking forward to that game in a couple weeks. We will talk East versus Central. East, again, coming off of the close loss against Sheridan, at least this past Friday night. Central with a blowout win against Cheyenne South. So, again, it sets up a very crucial Capital Bowl where both teams are vying for, again, a top 4 spot in the playoffs, which, again, are at least quickly approaching. So, again, we'll get into East versus Central talk. I do believe also, too, we will have some LCCC, at least coaches coming in, as I do believe on the soccer side, they are starting to turn things around, a couple top 25 victories. Volleyball is improving on a few things. So, again, we will, at least as of right now, trying to get those coaches at least solidified right now. But, again, we'll have LCCC sports to kind of talk mid-fall, as right now their playoffs are fastly approaching. But, again, some big wins for all 3 programs at LCCC over the past couple of weeks. So we'll talk about that.
All right, we're going to wrap things up. So for Nick Perotti, I'm Larry Perotti. That wraps up KRAE Reports that we can review. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you coming up on the 17th when we come back with our KRAE Reports that we